Hey, what's up? My name is Yotam. Welcome to my first SolidWorks tutorial for beginners. So today we're going to be learning about some basic sketch tools and feature tools that you'll use to create bodies in SolidWorks. When you first open SolidWorks, you'll notice that you get a pop-up window that prompts you to select the units of measurement that you want to set as your default. So I have inch, pound, second selected, and you can go ahead and do the same. So now that you've done that, to start a new part, you have to go up here to File, New, and then you'll get this pop-up window. And you have three options here. So for now, we're not going to worry about assemblies or drawings. We'll get into those later. And today we're going to be doing a part. So make sure you have your part highlighted and just press OK. And now you've entered the workspace. So you'll notice a few things right off the bat. You've got a whole bunch of tools up here on the top, and you've got some tabs. So today we're going to be focusing on the sketch and feature tabs, as I mentioned before, and we'll basically be learning how to use some of the basic tools that you can find under these tabs. So when making anything in SolidWorks, you always start with a 2D sketch, and to start your 2D sketch, you have to select a plane. You can see on this part of my screen that is called my design tree, there are three planes. There's the top, front, and right plane, and I've just selected them here so you can see them on my screen. And you have to select one of these planes to start your sketch on. So to start a sketch, I go up to this tool right here called Sketch. I click on it, and it prompts me to select one of the three planes. I'm going to select the top plane. It doesn't really matter, but in this case, I'm just going to be selecting top. And then once I'm inside a sketch, you'll notice that there's two icons up here on the top right corner. This just tells me that I'm inside a sketch, and these tools also allow me to exit the sketch by pressing on this one and delete the changes I've made in the sketch by pressing this one. So now that we're inside a sketch, let's have a look at what sketch tools I can use. These tools up here are my sketch tools, and I'm going to go ahead and select the center rectangle tool. If you have a different type of rectangle here, you can just press on the drop-down menu and select the center rectangle. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And you'll notice when I clicked on it, this part of my screen changed to show me that I'm selecting the rectangle tool, and my cursor has also changed to a pencil with a little rectangle under it, which tells me I have entered the tool, or I've selected the tool. So now that I have the tool selected, I can start my sketch. And to sketch, I basically just have to pick a point on my screen. This point is called my origin, and typically when you're starting a sketch, you always want to set one of your points to the origin so that it isn't free-floating and you can't just drag it around anywhere. So I'm going to click on the origin and then click somewhere else, and I've created a rectangle. So I've created a rectangle, but this rectangle has no dimensions. I'm going to go ahead and exit this rectangle tool. So you can see that I can change the height and length of the rectangle. So to give this rectangle some dimensions, we can use something called the Smart Dimension tool. And this is just one way to make dimensions in SolidWorks. And by selecting the Smart Dimension tool, you'll see once again my cursor has a little Smart Dimension icon next to it, which is just telling me that I have the tool selected. And I can go ahead and click on any of these lines. I'll click this top one here and just click again elsewhere, and you'll place the dimension, and then you can change it. So I'm just going to set this to 5, enter, and you'll see that the rectangle has changed size to fit that dimension. So now I've dimensioned one side of my rectangle, and you'll see that the other side of my rectangle, if I drag it around here, is still able to move. And I want to change that. I could go ahead and smart dimension this side as well, but I'm going to do something else called a constraint that will set these lines to be equal length. And that way, if I ever want to change this measurement, instead of having to change two smart dimension tools, I can just go ahead and change this one, and this line will automatically update to fit whatever constraints I put on it. And I'll show you guys what I'm talking about now. If I select this line and then click Control and click on the other line, it'll allow me to select more than one entity at a time, and then I'll get these property managers up here. And these are all the relations that I can add. These are my constraints, and I can go ahead and set these lines to be equal length by pressing on the equal constraint here. And now you can see that my rectangle has no longer any undefined sides, and you'll notice that the sketch has turned black, which just tells me that everything inside the sketch is fully defined. So now that I've created a fully defined sketch, I can go ahead and go to my features, and under my features I have a few different options here, but we're going to pick the Extruded Boss feature. And what this does is it creates a body based off of the sketch that you have just created. So now that I've entered the feature by clicking on it, you'll see on my Properties Manager, you can see that I have the tool selected, and there's a preview of what the feature will do based off of the sketch. So Over here, I'm going to set the length of the extrude to 5 inches so that we get a perfect cube. And you'll notice it just extrudes straight up from the sketch plane. And I have a few different options here that I can select to change the way it extrudes. I'm going to select mid-plane, which just makes the plane I sketched on the middle of the extruded body. And I just like doing that because it makes things more symmetric and it helps me later on when I'm making assemblies. So I'm just going to press check, and now you'll see I've created a body. So once I have a body created, I can now sketch on the faces of this body. So I have 6 new faces I can sketch on, and I'm just going to click on this face, and once I've clicked on it, you'll see I get this little pop-up menu right next to my mouse. And this allows me to start a sketch or edit features or edit previous sketches. I'm going to press on sketch here, which allows me to start a new sketch. You can do the same thing by pressing on the sketch tool that we used earlier from over here. If I go to the sketch tab, I can press sketch and then just select a face. So now that I've selected this face to sketch on, I can go ahead and select another sketch tool. I'm going to select a circle this time. And now this is an awkward position to sketch through because I'm not facing the plane that I'm sketching on. And to face the plane, you can press Control 8. And by doing that, it'll make your view parallel to the plane that you're sketching on. So I just like doing that. It makes things easier to see. So once I've done that, I'm once again going to click on the origin to start my circle. You'll see that I have the circle selected because my cursor has turned into a pencil. And then just click elsewhere to stop or to create the circle. And then I'm going to press check to unselect it. Now go to my Smart Dimension tool, click on the circle, click elsewhere, then set this to 3. And now I've created another fully defined sketch. So I can go to my features again, and you'll see there's a few new features that are available. Now that I have a body, I can create features on this body like cutting features. So I'm going to select the extruded cut feature, and this feature removes material based off of the sketch that you've created. So now that I have this sketch, I'm going to change some setting here. You'll see on this drop-down menu I have a few new options called Through All and Through All Both. And what's great about these is that you don't have to set a length once you've selected them because they just go infinitely through every body that exists in that direction of the sketch. So I'm going to select Through All, and then I'm going to select Check, and you'll see that I've created a circular cut through the body that I've created. And I'm going to do that 2 more times on these other faces by selecting the faces, pressing Sketch, Control 8, and then making this circle, Smart Dimension, set it to 3 inches, going to Features, Extruded Cut, Through All, check, and I've done that again, and then I'm going to do it 1 more time on the top face, and so now I'm in a sketch, press on Circle, Control 8, create the circle by fixing it to the origin, then Smart Dimension it, select the circumference, click elsewhere, 3, enter, then features, extruded cut, through all, and check. So now I have my body and I've applied some other features to it as well, like these cut features. So there's some features that I can use now that I've created this body that don't require that I create a new sketch. So one of those features is called a fillet feature, and I'm going to press on the fillet feature, and you'll see here are the edges that I have selected. If I select an edge, it'll pop up right here on my property manager, and here I can set the radius of the fillet. So I'm just going to set the radius of the fillet to 0.5, and then I'm going to select more edges. I'm going to select this edge, and you'll see if I don't move my mouse, I get this little pop-up menu here, which allows me to select more than one edge at a time. And that's really convenient because that way I don't have to go through every single one. And I'm just going to select this one right here that selects every single edge on the body. So you'll see all the edges that I just selected have shown up on my property manager, and I just press check. And now I've created a fillet feature, and this is the body that I've created. So as I mentioned before, this area here is my design tree, and I can look at all the history of the part that I've created through my design tree. I have 4 different features here, or 5 different features, excuse me. I have my Extruded Boss feature, which is just the cube that we made. I have the 3 extrude cut features, which are all the circular holes that we created, and then I have my fillet feature. Now, if I want to change any of these, I can right-click on them, and I'll get this pop-up menu, and I can edit the feature or edit the sketch. I'm going to go ahead and edit the sketch on this one, and you'll see that I'm back in the original sketch that I created. And what I can do is I can change this dimension. Let's say I want it to be 10. So I enter 10, and then I exit the sketch. And now it'll update to create the new body based off of the new sketch geometry. And that's pretty useful if you ever want to go back and edit the parts that you're creating. You can go back through your design tree and edit the features. So that'll be it for today's tutorial. In the next tutorial, we'll use more of these skills, we'll practice them, and possibly use some new sketch or features. So that'll be it. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.